Betting on sports can be hard, but hiring Morgan & Morgan is easy. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/bestbets or dial pound law, pound 529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/bestbets. This is a paid advertisement.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
It's good to have you on board as we are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino here on a Football Friday in 30 minutes. James Sullivan is the man behind SurvivorSweat.com, where you can buy, sell, get involved with Survivor tickets across the country. Here at Circa, the biggest legal one, obviously, anywhere. There was a ticket that sold this week for more than $130,000. Every entry, in theory, right now, worth about $280,000. So tell us the story, why it sold for that much, coming up at the bottom of the hour. Here's how fast you have to be with some of this stuff. And we'll get into the Packers-Seahawks game, and I'll tie it into what happened earlier today. I've been looking for Zach Charbonnet props for a full day now, at least. And I suspected that books would be careful, cautious, because of Kenneth Walker not knowing his status for the game. And now, as of this afternoon, it's not looking good for the Seahawks running back, meaning Walker. He's listed as doubtful. And last week, Charbonnet was awesome against Arizona. I think he's actually better than Walker, and I like Walker. So books, I haven't seen him posted anywhere. So you're not going to be able to get a good number on Charbonnet because they're not going to post until they find out that Walker is definitely out of the game. So his number is going to be through the roof. I just so happened to be on Twitter today when the news came down that, first of all, let me go back. Earlier in the week, the Jets said it was not looking good for running back Breece Hall this week against Jacksonville. It looked like it was going to be a combo of Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Then, earlier today, a couple hours ago, Breece Hall, it came out that he was expected to play. His status for Sunday looks good and promising. So that came across, and I was on my apps, and I grabbed, there was only one book that I could find that had Isaiah Davis up at 37.5. I bet him under 37.5. I don't think he's available anywhere now. And who knows if he even plays. If he doesn't play, then it's going to be voided, obviously. But we are, because of all of this, late season injury news, and guys, are they in, are they out, and, maybe more than ever, you're not going to get a lot of these names posted until maybe even tomorrow or game day. There's a tight end I'm looking for. He might not even get posted until Sunday, like noon. So I don't even want to say who it is in case I see it before the end of the show. I want to get on it.
All right.
Where are you at with the Seahawks-Packers game?
I love Green Bay.
You love them?
Yeah. Gino's going to turn it over. So I think the smoke and mirrors job is going to end with Seattle here. Great job by McDonald turning around the defense. But, again, the success that this division has had, right? Remember, when they don't play each other, they're 28-3.
That's pretty good.
So this is ridiculous. They only lose to each other. So I love Green Bay in this spot. And again, plus 13 when you look at their turnover margin against Seattle. And I think Gino's going to come back to bite him. And I think Green Bay continues to get better defensively. And I actually trust Love here. He doesn't make that stupid mistake, though. The damn 2.5 again. Follow me around wherever I go. 2.5's all over the place. But I think Green Bay gets it done in a great Sunday night game. And let's see if Chernoff is right, with those mixed reports about if the win's going to be a factor as well, and then jump on the under 46. But conflicting reports on that, too. But I do like the under anyways as well. I'm just not seeing enough out of the offense, and they should be better with their passing attack. Again
this week, no Jair Alexander for the Packers.
Yeah, again, I know. Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think Geno Smith, I'll have more on this coming up, but I think Geno Smith is going to throw an INT. Seahawks defense playing great football lately. Mike McDonald's really turned them into form.
Packers look great on Thanksgiving.
How about Love to throw an INT, though?
Yeah.
I think maybe you parlay both those guys, get a decent plus price. I think we get turnovers in this game.
Probably. Winston's only $2 to throw that out there, too.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, right.
Against the Chiefs defense. Who do you like, by the way, in that game in terms of player props? And we're expecting a little bit of rain, I think, in the Cleveland area. KC down to 4, totals down to 43, got as high as 44. I'll give you this. And you've been on DeAndre Hopkins since the trade over from Tennessee. Is this a big game for him? The Browns are 30th versus wide receiver number 1. They allow 79 yards per game to the position. Hopkins' target share the last 3 weeks went from 17% to 18% to 24% last week. I'll break that down. He's had 9 targets in back-to-back weeks. And if you want to look at what similar receivers to Hopkins have done against Cleveland on the year, well, Sutton had 6 for 102 with the Broncos. A.J. Brown had 6 for 116. Valdez-Scantling had 87 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins had 4 for 82 and a touchdown. And Quentin Johnson had 4 for 118 and a touchdown as well. His prop is 44.5, and he's plus 240 to score a touchdown. Any interest?
Yes, very interested. Can't get there with Judy. Too high now.
Oh, I can't do it either.
Yeah, he's too high. 70.5. No, too high. I do like I think the Chiefs finally cover, though. This is finally going to happen. It has nothing to do with the do theory. But they're begging you to bet the Chiefs now. But now we're getting into buy territory. 4 against Winston in this outfit?
Yeah.
Come on.
I'll give you one, though, too, that I like even more. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, clean up the offensive line. Mahomes has been sacked 13 times the last 3 games. That can't happen. 77% chance to get the 1 seed, as we talked about, 0-7 ATS run. And, again, Charge touched on this, too, about the point differential. I mean, their point differential plus 56 when you compare it to other teams and what's happening. So 12-1 plus 56, third team in history with this record, yet a point differential under 100, and second team in history where you see with 10 games and you're winning by 7 points or fewer. So I know it's a joke every week about the call goes their way and someone makes a mistake and buffoonery and how do they win, but I know Mahomes has been calling for it. I think this is the time it finally happens. Chiefs by margin.
All right, I'll give you one guy who I do like, and books have posted his prop for the game because I don't think David Njoku is going to play for the Cleveland Browns. He's questionable, and it looked like earlier in the week he was going to miss. The Browns are unsure if he's going to play. Well, who's the worst team in the NFL guarding tight ends? It's Kansas City.
There you go.
And they allow almost 80 yards per game to the position. Here's a little bit of a deep dive. How about Jordan? Oh, my Aikens ass. Anytime touchdown. Plus 420 neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like Miller last week. Let's dance. I like it.
Good?
Digging deep. Yeah. Good. Oh, you Chris Berman now? Very good, though.
Well, don't ask me. That, by the way, I have no idea where my dad came up with that.
Oh, my Aiken ass?
Oh, my Aiken ass. I have no clue. But he said it all the time, and I laughed at it like every single time.
He's a good man. We miss him. I can't believe it. I would yell at him, get out of Fall Creek, Wisconsin. We'll come out here. Oh, too much traffic, you would say. Too much traffic.
God, he had a lot of good scenes.
Yes.
A lot of good ones. I don't think I can say some of them on the air. But
we'll save it for the uncensored podcast.
Okay, yeah.
There's an opening now. No more GM Shuffle. Sunday Night Football, 39 and 19 underrun, by the way, on Sunday Night Football since 2022. I had to get that in there. All right, Maestro.
Anything here in this Dolphins-Texans game? Here's a guy I was talking about before the break.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Mike McDaniel is 1-10 straight up and 2-9 ATS as a single-digit underdog.
I want no part of this guy, and I have turned on him big time. It's just he can't beat good teams. 5-18 straight up against teams with a winning record going back. And I know it's very popular, but Houston here, getting things right, fix the offense. I will say this, if you want Houston, go first half. 11-2. They've been the Alabama. Remember, this was Nick Saban at Alabama. First half, crush people. Take it easy. Go against them. They're 11-2 ATS first half. They're 2-11 ATS second half.
You're kidding.
Absolutely. That's Houston. So come out and pound them early, and hopefully that stay and get a big lead. And then Miami comes in late through the back door, and you can cash both tickets. But that has been the way to bet the Texans all year. But I think they get right here. I know you asked me about the Chargers' cause for concern. Miami's going to lose this game, and that'll just about do it. Because if Denver wins, it's a 92% chance to make the playoffs. If Denver wins, it's over. I mean, there's no one that can track these teams down then at that point. Cincinnati's got a 3% chance. So, Miami's... It's not going to happen for Miami.
Most books have Texans minus 1.5 for the first half. Some books have 1.
How about that run? That's sick.
You can find. I'm trying to find a money line on the Texans for the first half with that angle. Minus 140 neighborhood. 11-2 ATS first half, 2-11 second half.
Yep.
That's another thing, by the way, about the Sunday night game. The Packers are elite. I think they're the best team in football, and I think this goes back a couple of years at covering second-half numbers. LaFleur is phenomenal after halftime. So something to keep your eyes on in that game, maybe on Sunday night.
Lions also 11-2 ATS first half, thanks to Joe Osborne for that one. I do like. I'm back on Jonnu Smith. I thought last week was a fluke. I don't know what that was, right? He didn't touch the ball till overtime.
Yeah.
Then he had, 4 for 40 in the walk-off touchdown. I just go back the last month or so. The targets are outrageous for that guy. Right back to Jonnu Smith.
I don't mind that at all. So, okay, the Lions are as low as -1. That's at DraftKings. They're -130 on the money line in the first half.
Those are good numbers.
And you said they're 11-2 ATS?
Yep. Denver 11-2 to the over. First half, and Carolina 11-1-1. VSiN perfect holiday gift for you. Sign up holiday special today. VSiN Pro Access, everything we do through May 1st. $79. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits, DraftKings and Circa, the dog videos, the betting guides. Get the college football playoff guide now. Get in right now. The road to Jan Sanity contest, free to play. $5,000 on the line. VSiN.com/subscribe. The Jan Sanity, though, is free. VSiN.com/subscribe. Get it now. $79 through May 1st. Join the team. Let's go.
All right. Well, you're spitting out all these trends. I'm looking for all these numbers. Denver and Indy first half total 21.5.
Too low. Too low. I got both coaches off the bye too.
Sure.
They'll be cooking.
Got a bad defense there in Indy.
Yes.
Got a good offense in Denver. You got a capable offense with Indianapolis for sure. 3 touchdowns and give me 24. Bam.
Definitely doable.
Cash that ticket?
Definitely doable. How about these late games? Come on, man. Early schedule? Nah. But these late games, 4 of them are awesome, and then the Sunday night game? Come on.
Yeah,
about time, baby.
Look, I'm not just going to talk the talk. I'm going to walk the walk. I told the Rain today, it's you and Sebastian on Sunday.
Sure.
I'm gone all day. I'm watching games. I'll probably have a couple of pops.
Absolutely.
I don't want to hear. You're not calling me, because if you do, I'm not going to answer, and I'll give you, if you send me a text, give me some time, because I'm not going to respond immediately.
But does the kid get a Christmas gift? He hasn't earned it, right? What's he accomplished? Nothing?
He's been a pain in my ass more than anything else.
No gift for the kid, right?
I'm not going to get, no.
Good. Well played.
We had to dig deep for some good player props. We'll run them down for you next year on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll go over player props in the NFL that we like this week. I told you about Jordan Akins, backup tight end for the Browns. I could be wrong. I don't think David Njoku plays for the Browns, but the Chiefs, the official number here is they allow 75.5 yards per game to the tight end position. That is the absolute worst mark in the entire league. I bet Akins today plus 420 for anytime touchdown. I also bet another guy on an anytime touchdown at 3-1, which is going to be a bad number, but it's only available at one book right now. How about Stone Smart for the LA Chargers? The Buccaneers are 27th in DVOA versus tight ends. They allow 67 yards per game to the position. Here's the breakdown. Mark Andrews scored twice against Tampa. Pitts scored twice in 2 games. Kittle scored. Will Dissly is out. Smart had a season-high 22 snaps last week after Dissly got hurt. Had 3 catches on 3 targets and 54 yards. Had to bet him. 3-1. You can probably find higher a little bit later on today if you like that angle. Herbert loved going to Will Dissly, and Smart came in after the injury. He went to him 3 times, and I thought he looked good in that game against the Chiefs Sunday night. And Zach Ertz might be in for a good game against the Saints. They rank 24th overall in DVOA against tight ends, and they allow almost 60 yards to the position. Commanders off the bye. That's tight end. I have other stuff here, but go ahead.
Hunter Henry over 44.5, 8+ targets the last 3 games. And Drake May over rushing yards. That gets there every single week, it seems, and he can get there in one rush. I think he can go off. Robinson should go off for Washington. No Eckler, big workload against the Saints as well. Also going to be I wanted to do something with Miller again, but it's Hainer at quarterback, so I can't get there. And he's down to like plus 170 anytime touchdown. I mean, get lost with that. So can't do that there. And then Ridley's too high, Judy's too high, but I got a bunch I'll get to in pocket again coming up.
I agree with Judy. Here, I actually want to bet Ridley again because the Bengals defense is so bad.
Can't trust mayonnaise.
That's the thing.
It's terrible.
Yeah, you're right.
It's horrendous.
Right. You can't trust mayonnaise in general.
Yeah.
And I don't trust people who like mayonnaise like on hamburgers.
I don't mind it.
Oh.
Miracle Whip, get after it. Sure. California Burgle. burger. I don't mind it.
Yuck. Let me give you some INT props.
Okay.
You might be able to parlay some of these, by the way.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield, $1.40 jumps out.
You love it?
It's number one, yeah.
Okay. Caleb Williams, how about this? He's only thrown 5 INTs on the year. He has 0 in his last 7 games. He's in the minus 105 range to not throw one. The problem is the Vikings lead the league in INTs. They have 20 on the year. So which side of the fence do you trust there? You going to go with Caleb, good form recently, or do you trust like the Flores defense to cause problems in this game and make him throw a bad one?
Probably the latter. I think it could finally happen.
How about Tua Tagovailoa? Now, he missed some games, obviously, but he only has 4 INTs on the year. He has 1 in 7 games since coming back in late October. He's even money on the no as the Dolphins play in Houston. Can I talk you into that one?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
You talked about Herbert already. He only has 1. This is so under the radar. He's only thrown 1 INT the entire year. That was week 2 against Carolina. So that means 0 in his last 11 games. Can't find it on the board yet. Here's a yes that I have to bet. Mac Jones threw 2 last week.
Oh, he's terrible.
He's so bad.
I actually like the Jets this week. I think the Jets are going to win a game. Yep.
So 5 overall in 4 starts since November 10th. He's minus 128-ish on the yes. Now, the Jets secondary is completely overrated. We all know this at this point. But Mac Jones is as bad as it gets. Just throw one. That's all it's going to take.
Yep.
How about Kirk Cousins?
These numbers are so bad. The last 5 starts combined for 36 points, averaging 145 yards. I mean, it's just...
God.
Chris Massero had a good tweet. He's going back the last 8 starts or whatever it is for Mac Jones. I forgot to. Dalton Schultz. Miami has issues against tight ends.
Yeah, Miami does, yeah, okay.
I think Schultz is like 29.5. There's a guy to ladder. That could be something where he has a big game. So, yes, Mac's atrocious. I think the Jets win and cover.
That makes sense, by the way. Hold on one more second on Schultz. I didn't know that. Didn't realize that. It was only 29.5. I read up today. It's a bad matchup for Tank Dell. You can trust Nico Collins. You can trust him against anybody, and C.J. Stroud will find him. But I like going to war with these guys who are, posting smaller numbers on the player prop with their market. So 29.5 with Schultz. Okay. Cousins has thrown an INT in 4 straight games. You probably all know that. He has 8 INTs in that span. He's minus 120 on the yes. He leads the league with 15 interceptions on the year.
But
will he throw one against the Raiders?
They don't know. I think he'll play clean football. Raiders don't take it away.
And I know it. They don't do anything well. And we talked about this already this hour. But Geno Smith has 12. Packers defense has 12 INTs on the year. He's not that. It's like minus 125 range to throw an INT.
That I like.
How about in that Cardinals-Patriots game that you talked about? You like a couple of guys there. May's prop, by the way, 26.5. He's only gone over that once in the last 3 games because it was always, hovering around 19.5? You'd go over that, no problem.
We got hooked on one of them.
Okay.
Yep.
Could this be a good week for James Conner? His prop, 73.5 yards. The Patriots against the rush, they are 26th in adjusted line yards, 29th in power success rate allowed, 24th worst stuffed rate, and at the second level, 7 backs have gone over 73.5 yards against New England, and 4 broke 100 yards. So it could be a pretty good week overall for James Conner. I have to play him I don't have to, but I'm going to play him in one of my fantasy leagues that I have. And 73.5, I think, is a very achievable number here against this defense.
Murray's been terrible. Lean on Conner. Yep. Absolutely with you. How excited are you for Army-Navy?
Well, I'm stoked.
Well, when do you see their teams like this with the records, right? Plus, Navy throws it around. They sling it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you a little bit scared of the total? I know you bet the under 40.
No, not really. I'm looking... Can anyone find no score first 5 minutes? Is that out there? I want no score first 5 minutes of the game. But the props are outrageous because of Daly. 29 touchdowns. He's minus $4 anytime touchdown. He's only 4-1 to score 3 touchdowns. First touchdown of the game.
What?
He's plus 165. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the Ashton Genty angle.
It is. So
score the first touchdown of the game.
They've actually had a good defense this year. I mean, again, 11-1. Both teams routed by Notre Dame, but East Carolina, Notre Dame, a little bit of North Texas, and San Antonio. The only teams that really moved the ball on Army this year. Top 15 rush defense. That helps. That also could maybe point to your angle because Navy's throwing the ball more. But great offense, and again, you know what they're going to do, and you can't stop it. So with 29 touchdowns and a combined 19 wins here, this is awesome. A 16-1-1 underrun. One of the overs was because of overtime. And the losing
didn't last year have a safety on the final play of the game?
It was something like that.
Put it over, I think.
And Army Navy, the losing team last 12 years, held to fewer than 17 points.
Yeah.
So I know talking to a lot of people making the case for Navy, even though Army's at it, but Army's off the tough game against Tulane, and you've had 2 byes now for Navy, waiting this out. But it just kind of went sideways for them when they got up to the hot start and then blown out by Tulane, stung up by Notre Dame, and then lost to Rice.
Well, was that really a tough game for Army against Tulane? They killed them.
Well, I guess that's fair, yeah. But still, how much punishment can this guy take? I mean, Brad Powers was all over that. You're down 42-7. Why are you giving him like 30 carries in the Notre Dame game?
I don't question it. He's in the Army.
Right? Okay, fine. But it's, 6-40. Can't wait.
I think
what a season for Army.
Another story regarding this team. Their bowl game against Marshall is to the moon now. This opened 13.5. And I heard Brad Powers, before he came on, he's on every Thursday with us. He was on Wednesday with Tim Murray and JVT. And he prefaced it by saying, now, guys, I never say this, you know that. But Powers said any number is good with Army. If you miss 13.5, he said, doesn't matter. He goes, they will blow this team out. They will kill them. Marshall's coach left.
Yep.
Everybody's in the transfer portal. And now, who knows what string we're talking about. We'll have to face Army's, triple option and their offense. That's up to, I bet 14. I think I laid 15 cents with that. It's up to 16.5 right now. I mean,
it could get to 20, 21.
Well, he basically said yesterday, name your score. It's going to be like 40 to something.
It was a good recall to go back to the Houston game.
Oh, yeah.
What was that, 70 to 20 or something?
Yeah,
ridiculous. Nothing delivers comfort and joy like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. Had it delivered a couple of weeks ago. Awesome. And for all the people that email in, we go to steakhouses all the time. Omaha Steaks, the best. Guaranteed perfection every single bite. Save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide omahasteaks.com. Get an extra $30 off with promo code MONEY. 5 generations of experience. They deliver the world's best steak experience. The burgers, the desserts, awesome, legendary steaks, omahasteaks.com. And our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code MONEY. omahasteaks.com, promo code MONEY.
James Sullivan joins the program next, creator of Survivor Sweat. The value of each entry in Circa Survivor is just shy of $280,000 right now. He'll give us the details on a Circa entry that sold for a little more than $130,000 just this week. That's next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Contests, free to play, grand prize, $5,000 to the winner. Pick college football games against the spread before each round. You'll end up making 11 picks, each game weighted differently by VSiN to add to the challenge. Picks due 30 minutes before kickoff. Read the contest rules and register. VSiN.com/JanSanity. $5,000 on the line. Free to enter. Pick the games against the spread every round. VSiN.com/JanSanity. The deadline Thursday, December 19th. And you look at the championship would be weighted 8 points. Semifinal, quarterfinal, 1 to 4, and then the first round games as well. And a great time to get the VSiN College Football Playoff Betting Guide. 27 pages of previews, picks, and predictions. And beyond this and the money, we found a VSiN host through our first contest back in 2017 with Mr. Salinas. VSiN.com/JanSanity. Deadline Thursday, December 19th. You could win $5,000, free to enter. Tell your family, tell your friends. Let's go.
I love it. Awesome contest. And James Sullivan joins the program now. He is the creator of SurvivorSweat.com. Good to see you again today. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me in again.
You bet. And for the audience that might be a little unaware of what you do and what you created, can you explain exactly what SurvivorSweat.com is?
Yeah, the best way to describe it is if eBay and E-Trade had a baby, you would have Survivor Sweat. From the person who owns the entry, from their standpoint, they can list their entry in the marketplace, and they could sell different pieces of their entry. So it's viewed as obviously an asset. You can go in, you could sell your asset. You could sell anywhere between 1% up to 99% of your entry. And then from the buyer standpoint, they can go in and if they're eliminated from the contest, they could buy a piece of this entry, and in essence have a sweat for the rest of the season. So it tracks basically your entries. If you're buying different pieces, you're buying, you're selling. It's kind of almost like a portfolio, and it tracks obviously how much you have invested and what the value of your kind of portfolio is worth. So,
any idea to date how many entries have been sold or purchased, whichever way you want to describe it?
Oh, there's been hundreds of transactions so far this year. Hundreds.
Really?
Yeah, several hundred. Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Less than 1,000, but it's been a very robust season.
So you'll see then an entry sell like in week 8, whatever, for example, and then in week 10 or week 11, the person who bought it sells it again?
Yeah, that's why. So there's people that they'll buy and hold it for the season. We had certain, of the 51 entries left, there's guys that bought those entries in week 3 and have just, ran the table here until week 15. There's other people. People who have bought entries and they now own that entry, and then will either sell the entry weeks later as it appreciates in value, or they'll sell off pieces of the entry. There's one gentleman who bought a majority stake of the entry, controls the picks, and he actually owns of the whole entry. He owns a minority share, but he controls the picks because he sold off so many pieces of the entry.
Really? Okay. So he's still in charge of making the picks.
He's still in charge of making the picks because he, in the contract it specifies as to who makes the picks. So when he bought the majority stake, he controls that entry, but now he can do what he wants with that entry.
That's a good approach.
Yeah.
Can you tell the story again of what the one gentleman did, or how many people just come in? I'm buying 10, and then I hope to make it to week 3, and then I can just make a small profit.
Yeah, there was a gentleman who came in and he didn't know much about the contest. I think he was just going to buy one entry just to take a flyer on it. He found out about the marketplace. He came back 2 days later and he filled up his 10-pack. He bought a full 10-pack with the sole intention of flipping these entries. So he made it through 2 weeks. Not all of his entries made it through 2 weeks. Obviously, he was clipped on the Bengals and whatnot. But he had enough entries left that he turned around and sold all those entries after 2 weeks and made a profit on his initial $10,000 investment.
Any idea if any of those entries are still alive?
Those entries are not still alive.
They're not.
Those are not.
All right.
Yeah, those are not. But like I said, I know for sure there's at least I think a couple that bought in week 3 and bought majority control
good for them.
and are still alive.
Go to the website. It's awesome, clean, perfect. Tells everyone that's what's available, what teams have been used, what's left. It's awesome. How about the big news yesterday? If you can explain what happened with one seller, and we broke it late on the show.
Yeah, we had the largest transaction in the history of the marketplace. So there was one of the 51 entries that's had his entry in the marketplace for the last 2 weeks. He was one of the very few that was selling majority pick control. So at this stage of the contest, most of these guys don't want to give up pick control. It's pretty rare at this stage to give up pick control. He was one of the few that was willing to do it. He sold 95% of his entry. The entry sold for 6 figures, and there was a buyer that came along and purchased that entry yesterday.
Okay. So can you explain trying to find the right number, the math on this? Because when you look at the value of every ticket right now, every one of the 51, right, they're worth about $280,000, a little bit shy of that.
Right.
So then explain why he was willing to sell it for a little bit more than $130,000 overall, and then give up 95% of the stake.
Yeah, each entry is different. Obviously, you value your entry as to what you think it's worth. At the end of the day, it's worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So, he looked at, the teams he had remaining. He had, to some buyers, they were looking at his Christmas Day slate. He only had the Bears available. And so, he was willing to discount his entry. It sold for, almost half the value. But, for him, for each person that owns these entries, they're in a different situation. For him, he was willing to cash out at this stage, take the 6-figure payout, and to kind of ride off into the sunset and let someone else, sweat out these last couple of weeks for the chance at $14 million.
I think if you ask anybody, most people, right, who are going to get into this thing, if we told you back in week 1 that you're going to still be alive or around like week 15 and you could make $130,000, whatever the number is, are you going to be happy with that? And I think a lot of people would say, absolutely, I'd sign up right now for that.
Yeah, everyone's in a different situation. We had one guy who's, a high school football coach. We've had guys that were, one guy last year, I think I told the story, was a factory worker in New Mexico, and he was working the overnight shift. a six-figure payout to them is a significant payday. So everyone's kind of got their own risk tolerance, their own threshold as to when they want to cash out, and the marketplace allows them to, they can cash out at any time. In essence, like I said, they can sell anywhere between 1% up to 99%.
That's a great discussion because originally the comments were, "Wow, look at it sold for," and like what? But he has nothing available on Christmas. So that's how do you determine what it's worth? Because he's up against it. But now the other side of this is this guy can maneuver now who bought it. If he's able to get to Christmas, then he can sell pieces. He can do stuff. He can maneuver, and who knows? There might be carnage, and that thing skyrockets in value, even though he only has one team on Christmas.
Yeah, that's the great. I mean, he could, if he wanted to. Now he owns, 95% of the entry. He could sell pieces of that. He doesn't have to keep the whole 95%. So there's argument to be made. He bought at half price. Let's say he makes another week or two. That thing appreciates in value, and he turns around and he starts selling, 5%, 2% here and there to start, recouping his initial investment, still keep pick control, and still have a shot going in then to Christmas. And if you make it to Christmas, no one's more than, I think it's a 56% favorite on Christmas anyways, and obviously it's a great hedging opportunity at that point.
I think a majority of people for that separate Christmas week at Circa Survivor will be on Baltimore, right, based on how many entries are left. And KC and Pittsburgh will probably be like around a pick 'em. So Baltimore goes down. They play the day before that entry with the Bears goes. So that, again, could go, who knows where it's going to go if that would happen.
Yeah, exactly. And, like you said, he could hedge big time going into that game. It's something, I think at this age to pay half price, basically he paid half price for an entry with a shot at $14 million, to a guy that has the income to do that, it's a worthwhile investment.
Do you stand by your prediction next year? It gets to 20,000 people.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Snap call.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to many people that agree with that assessment. It's not just me, but yeah, 20,000 I think is kind of now what Derek's willing to guarantee and what the guarantee he puts out there will be interesting to see what that number is. But I think for sure it approaches 20 million. He, it well exceeded this year's guarantee.
Yeah. Guarantee would be what you think next? Does he go to 15?
Derek likes round numbers, so I could see 15 being a nice round number that he goes with. Maybe he gets to 17.5. We'll see. But I think we hit 20 next year.
Can you believe we're still at 51? And how all these teams have survived the last couple of weeks, going back to Thanksgiving, what happened, and Black Friday, and then a couple overtime games?
There was Thanksgiving week. There was, I think, 3 entries that were on both. They had the Chiefs, which survived on a miracle fumble, and then on that Sunday they were on against the Carolina game. They were
Tampa,
the miracle fumble. So they survived miracle fumble back to back weekends. I think there's 3 entries that were on both those games that week. And had to survive both of them.
What do you think the people? So there are 2 people with 2 entries left, right?
Correct.
So and I think the one has Pittsburgh and Kansas City. And if they get to Christmas Day with those 2 left, would you sacrifice one of your entries to do the option there? Take both teams?
I think you'd see probably at least one of them do it. Yeah, I don't know if both of them would. The NFL Wise Guys entry has been comboing their picks for the last several weeks. Yeah. I don't know if they would. I think the other entry would, the C3 picks. I think you would see them possibly take both sides or opposite sides of the same game.
Pauly and I talked to the documentary yesterday. The quest for $14.2 million that'll come out after the season's over with next year sometime. And I said, I totally agree with you. I said, if a sports book right now posted how many entries will be in next year and put the number at 19,999, snap call, I'd bet the over.
Bet the over, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I would too.
Any advice to go to Survivor Sweat when you're trying to maneuver before the holidays and then you got those Wednesday games?
As a buyer or as a seller?
Well, anyway.
Probably as a seller, yeah.
Well, as a seller, like I say, you got to look at it's really hard for these guys. People are just like, why don't they just go hedge their bet at the sports book? It's easier said than done.
Yeah, sure.
It's much easier said than done. It's who's got 6 figures of liquid cash to roll into the sports book? Obviously, you could take out some credit, but your credit limits are determined on your credit worthiness.
Yep.
So it's hard to get the credit limit in place and to place a big hedge.
SurvivorSweat.com. James Sullivan, thank you so much.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
What a weekend of games that we have in the National Football League, specifically that late window. Bills are playing at the Lions. Right now, the Lions 2.5 at most national books. Total is 54.5. You said earlier, you talked to, was it a pro bettor who said he made the total 57.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's getting stops? This just should be nuts, right?
Will the Bills' defense get stops?
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah,
They're getting guys back defensively.
Yeah,
What if, and I said this earlier, and we'll get into this coming up top of the hour, what if Ben Johnson gets a little too pass happy? And if the running game is working and he's like, I don't care. I'm going to have Goff drop back to pass 47 times in this game. He does it once in a while.
Put this prop up. How many times will a team go for it on fourth down? Between Allen and Campbell with the wheelbarrow out there, and between you can use Allen on sneaks and what he's going to do. I just think this is just going to be no one's punting and everyone's going to go crazy in this game and what both quarterbacks can do as well. And I don't care for the spot with the Bills. I get extended rest with the Lions, and the Bills know that it's not a long shot, but it's going to be tough to catch Kansas City. So already winning the division, that they know it's probably going to be the 2 seed. So I prefer Detroit here. They could keep cashing tickets in the insane run that they're on ATS as well. And Buffalo's got to prove it to me. I think it was Sal Pal that said that. You have to show me you can actually do it. Buffalo's got to prove to me that they can get stops now, and against a quality team and a great quarterback after what happened against Stafford. And it's hard to trust them now after what happened.
I went back and looked today at many of my accounts. I do have the Lions on a ticket at plus 950, most wins in the NFL. They've won 11 straight.
Oh,
they have one loss.
Come on.
And I can't get any separation from the pack at all.
Yep. You got to grab a little Minnesota here, 7-1 to win
to win the division.
It's too high.
That's in play.
Yep. It's a great game though, but I would lean Detroit. But again, it's to me it's the G-Bank best bet of the day. It's all about Allen. The history here of Dan Campbell against mobile quarterbacks, and you mentioned it was 35.5, and then it ticked up. I mean, who knows what this guy can get? He had 80 last week. You can ladder him. But Josh Allen, shop around 37.5, 39.5. Josh Allen, rushing yards over. G-Bank best bet, brought to you by G-Bank and VEASAN. The VEASAN recommends every bettor to make the G-Bank Visa signature card part of their betting toolbox. Sign up 3 to 5% on cash advance fees. Earn cashback rewards on eligible betting transactions for a limited time. You get a $250 bonus when you open your account and spend $1,000 in the first 90 days. Save that money. Apply now. VEASAN.com/GBank. Take advantage of the $250 bonus for a limited time at our friends at G-Bank, official bank of VEASAN, subject to credit approval. Go get it.
To follow up on that, if anybody in the audience right now, if they haven't bet Josh Allen rushing yards over and they want to, my advice would be to do it as soon as you possibly can, because that number I think is only going to continue to go up before game time, before it probably settles in. I'm going to say around 44.5. And at that point, it's like you're going to miss it by 9 yards because it was 35.5 earlier today. And, that's almost undoable then. What do you got?
Okay, here's Dan Campbell the last 3 years against mobile rushing quarterbacks.
Oh, and I got it this year too, yeah.
You got it? Okay. Richardson, 51 yards. Darnold, 40 yards. Murray, 45 yards. He got it in the first drive. Fields, 58 yards. Fields, 104 yards. Lamar Jackson, 36 yards. And by the other, get nuts with the touchdowns too. There's touchdowns all over the place. Mahomes, 45 yards. Fields, 132 yards. Allen, 78 yards and a touchdown. Danny Dimes, 50 yards and a touchdown. Hurts, 90 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. So they get eviscerated by mobile quarterbacks for sure. And
Caleb
by the way,
Williams, 40 yards. Do you have that one?
Yep. When it was 35.5 earlier today, Allen has gone over that number 6 different times this year. And I think he's hit 50-plus yards at least 5 times. Hell, last week he had 80. Now, that was an outlier. He's not going to do that very often. But that was that crazy game where no defense could get a stop whatsoever. But, that's been a bugaboo there for Dan Campbell and their defense. I'm going to get the number here on Allen across the board. By the way, Lamar Jackson would be another one. After he got called out by his mom, and then for not running the ball enough, and the offense obviously had a week, and the coaching staff had a week to think about this. With the bye week, he's as low as 40.5 for rushing yards, and he's as high as 46.5.
Did I see Derrick Henry 350 anytime touchdown, 390? Something like that. Check that out.
Well, it depends on what book I saw.
That's nuts. But remember what we talked about early in the year? That tweet we referenced when Henry was gashing everyone every game about, just wait till December when you play a team out of the race and it's cold and well, here it is.
Right.
I'm all about Henry in this one. Okay, it's $3
nice
at DK to score a touchdown. Giants allowing 4.9 yards per carry, second worst in the league. horrendous in the last 20 years, what they've done from a Giants team. And Baltimore, second best since 1963, 5.7 yards per carry. You want to go Jackson, fine. I think Henry just goes bananas here in this game.
Well, here's my one concern. What if this game's 27-0 at halftime? There's no reason to play anybody in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And that's possible. It's Tommy DeVito. They have several injuries. Honestly, they should be playing for the number 1 pick in the draft. Ravens still have a chance to win their division. That would be my biggest concern about any of this stuff with the Ravens.
Yeah.
I saw that last night in the NBA. I thought I had a great bet with Cade Cunningham. Turns out they got blown out early by Boston, and he was benched way sooner than I ever would imagine, and he missed the prop by 2 points.
What do you have, 20?
18 points.
He had 18-7 and something?
Yeah, he had to get I bet 20 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds. He got everything else, but he only had 18 points. They yanked him immediately.
Yeah, that's in play here.
So that's a concern.
That's,
But the lowest number I can find on Josh Allen right now is 37.5.
Yeah.
That's definitely playable.
Yeah. They also have a lousy defense, and maybe they're still in this thing in the third quarter. But again, it's just it's historic when you see what that point spread is in this game for what the Giants of 50 years were a dog more than 14 points. Come on.
Let's bet an under, Pauly. Can we agree on this? It's tough. I mean, he's minus $5 to win Offensive Player of the Year. He's like the second shot on the board to win the MVP. Saquon Barkley is 100.5 at some spots for the rushing yards.
Okay.
One running back has eclipsed 100 yards against Pittsburgh all year long. By the way, it was Tyrone Tracy. He had 145. A total of 2 other running backs broke 80 yards against Pittsburgh. Jonathan Taylor had 88. Dowdle had 87. The Steelers are 4th in DVOA in adjusted line yards and 5th in EPA per rushing attempt allowed. He's going to break that's not, I mean, we just assume that when guys have these crazy good years that, 100, 120, 150 like Barkley, this is easy every week. It's not that easy. Against a good defense, not that easy.
That's right there for you. They contain Barkley, but the guy that does the damage is A.J. Brown. After demanding the ball, and let's do a better job here, and let's kumbaya and fix this with the Sirianni, Hurts, and Brown meeting. So Brown over 80.5, Barkley under as well. I really like the Broncos, though, too, don't you? Down to 4. Bo Nix, 6-0 ATS as a favorite. ATS and straight up, covering by 11 points per game. Peyton off the bye has been dynamite as well. Denver, number 1 in sacks. 92% to make the playoffs with a win. Also big for Coach of the Year. If they can get this and close strong and also beat the Chargers on the road on that Thursday night game coming up. I just think it screams Denver here. And I trust Knicks here. And this has been the story of the season, what these rookie favorites have done ATS when they're favored, but leading the charge has been Knicks. But I really have to back Peyton here off the bye, and he's been phenomenal. I think 66% going back. Very strong.
By the way, Knicks' rushing prop is 16.5 yards.
Ooh, that's low.
Now, he doesn't go over every single week.
Yep.
By no means. But in the games where he has really flourished, like he's getting these on 1 carry. A little bit of Drake May. He's Drake May light. May's better in terms of running the ball, from that position. But 16.5, I think, is because that when he was red hot, that number was getting into the low to mid-20s. Then I was like, probably a little untouchable. Now back down to 16.5 because it hasn't been so hot lately. What is your best point spread of the week?
Jets.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Jacksonville's terrible. Mac Jones, terrible. Hey, Aaron Rodgers finally threw for 300 yards.
The Jets are just as bad.
No, they can move the ball. Mac Jones is atrocious. The Jets will move the ball. Whoop-de-doo, you won a game 10-6. Come on. They just won a game 10-6.
I'm not rooting against you. I would never do that, but my God almighty, you like the Jets.
Yeah.
You like
Top
the
game.
Jets more than... Now Pittsburgh's catching 6.
Yeah.
But again, you're going against... it's a Friday here. Money's coming in on the Eagles. That's going to be sharp money coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But the Eagles have to win by 7 points now or more to cover that game?
Yeah. Jets. Now I'm going to go... I know I'm going to have to take the Chiefs again. Now that's down to 4. 0-7 ATS run. Winston's turning it over. -$2 to throw a pick. Probably multiple turnovers.
Give me a dog that you like. You don't like the
Green Bay.
Cowboys. Green Bay's favored.
I don't mind the Cowboys. I've seen this before. Carolina finally favored, probably fall on their faces.
How about the Pats plus the 6 against
Murray's been
Arizona?
bad.
Yeah.
One's tough.
All right, their win total was dead after 5 games, and now I do not want to see them in the playoffs. Real or Fugazi next on VSiN.